What's up, everyone? It's the interview queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch True Heel Heat.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Toni Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Heel Heat, and I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our AEW Dynasty 2025 preview. Breaking down this Sunday show from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the latest AEW pay-per-view as only we can. And to do that, I am joined by an all-star panel of people that love to talk about some pro wrestling. First up, we got my usual tag team partner for these pay-per-view previews, joining me always for WWE and AEW PLEs, pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them. You see her coexisting with Rob every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, but every month here, or twice a month, here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. It is Maggie. How are you doing?
Listen, I tried to do a 24-hour fast today, and I ruined it with a banana and a teaspoon of honey. So I ate ice cream because fuck it. I ruined everything. Okay? I ruined everything, and I'm having stickletti or whatever this is, little sticks of crap. They're with lime and chili. That's the best ever. I adore lime and chili. But before we started, SP3 was taking a sip of something. Do you mind showing the wonderful people what? Okay, that's okay. I'm sure that some of you people watch Star Trek. What is this? Was this the blue vodka from Star Trek? I forgot how it was called. I'm sorry, I'm not such a nerd. I only like Star Wars. But and you said that it was blue lemonade. What is the purpose of blue? What is this? what?
Look at that!
What is
Everyone.
this prime? No. What is this?
No. No, I
Okay,
don't drink
what
that.
is the purpose of the blue color in lemonade? The color blue. Okay, if if there's blue dye added to something, psychologically you need to run away from it because your brain thinks it's poison. What is the purpose of blue liquid? Is it
It's
to make you
it's
feel better
blue.
because, oh, I'm drinking poison, everything will be okay now, I'm gonna die? Like, what is it? Why?
It's blue raspberry lemonade. It's very delicious. It's actually it tastes better
Raspberry.
than regular lemonade.
Why? Is raspberry blue?
No, I think it's the yellow mixed with raspberries. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it makes the color blue. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I drink it. It tastes really great.
You-
It tastes
Okay,
awesome.
okay, let's carry on.
And of course, we're joined by my esteemed colleague, the man that joins me for all the pay-per-view previews and reviews for New Japan Pro Wrestling. As you saw earlier this week, we previewed NJPW Sakura Genesis 2025, but he's back here live this time for our AEW Dynasty preview. Mr. J News, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, brother. Doing all right. Sipping on that blue ale. You know how I go. You know how I go. But for all intents and purposes, glad to be here. Going to be talking some of that AEW Dynasty or Dynasty in certain parts of the world, as they say. So ready to get at it.
This cultured gentleman here. But yes, we appreciate y'all for joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Either way, we always appreciate y'all. So show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, you can sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys, hear your thoughts, hear your predictions on this Sunday's AEW Dynasty event. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you want to show your support to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, you could do so with a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It always goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here, and we always appreciate the support. We got our good brother, the Negro Nick Jackson in the chat. He says, "What's up, THH fam?" We got him also saying, "I'm wondering how many times Maggie is going to break SP3 and J News during this stream." I think she set a record for that on the AEW Revolution preview. So
I can nothing tops that. Look, that was
that was
the
an
best
all-timer.
ever. That was an all-timer.
That was an all-timer. On a month of all-timers, that was definitely an all-timer. We got some love for the blue raspberry lemonade from Negro Puck. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You know the deal. You know the deal. We also got Chase,
That's a
who
question
loves...
mark at the end of that sentence. He's also
Well,
wondering
he
why.
says that stuff is fire.
No.
And he also says, "Laugh my ass off." 5 minutes in, and we got one Maggie rant already. Laughing emoji.
Just
You're
wait
on
and see.
On a good run.
That's what I'm here for.
You're on a good run. You're on a good run there. I make B says that was a Swerve J News. Damn. We got seeing that. We also got Power Driver Finisher in the chat who says AEW's Dynasty as
Density.
Density. Then we also got a super chat donation from the one and only Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B, for joining us. Thank you so much for the super chat donation. He says, "Is that another drink Harlem made for you?" No, you know it's a Harlem drink because I usually would not drink that automatically because she likes to put
Shame.
ketchup and she likes to put ketchup in drinks.
Oh, but blue is fine, okay? And ketchup is murder.
Tomato? What do you drink a lot of tomato drinks?
Bloody Mary?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Bloody Marys.
Yeah, well, me neither, but people adore it, and I make it.
How dare you? How dare you? You don't drink them either.
Well,
How you calling me out and you don't drink them either?
because of the vodka, I quit drinking 3 years and 2 months ago.
Okay.
So
Okay, fair. That's fair. That's fair. You got me there. You got me there. Yeah, you showed me. You
water.
Showed me. We also got Parajari Finisher who says Star Trek is superior. So he agrees.
How do I ban people from the chat on your YouTube channel? How dare you?
There you
How
go. There- Also, Vala B adds, nah, Maggie, I've seen Harlem put some nasty stuff like raw egg and mayo. Yes, she has.
protein?
She has. Oh, that's what she was going for.
Yeah, she's taking care of you, sweetie. She wants you to take in your protein.
I appreciate her for that. I
Yeah.
appreciate her for that. Like I appreciate all of y'all joining us and appreciate Maggie and J News for joining me here. But yes, we're here to talk about some AEW Dynasty this Sunday, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As always, with our pay-per-view previews, I want to hear your hype level, your anticipation for this Sunday show. So we'll start with Maggie. 0 to 10, where's your hype at for Dynasty?
Right now it's about 8. I'm sure that it will get higher as the show nears, because guys, damn well it's a Sunday pay-per-view, and I love those because I get to watch them on Monday morning while I'm drinking my coffee in peace. I'm one of those people who absolutely hates Saturday night pay-per-views because I have to go to work on Sunday morning and I cannot watch it. And that's an automatic 6 from there on. And everything else is just, awesome matches and everything. But we get to see Speedball, Ricochet, and Omega, and everything else. It's just, I'm sorry, but I'm all here for that. I'm incredibly hyped for this event. It's also Dynasty. Like, is this the second year in a row for this pay-per-view? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So last year's Dynasty was pretty good, and that's a high bar. It's not a Revolution high bar because those pay-per-views are always bonkers, man. But like they have a high bar, and let's hope that they, fingers crossed that they make the right decisions. How
Yes,
how are
one
you
in
guys?
particular.
Yeah, one in
J-
particular. How are you guys
News.
feeling?
J News, we'll go to you next. Where are you at ahead of this Sunday show?
Yeah, I'm at a solid. I'm at this 8 as well. I would say, just because I know by majority throughout AEW's existence, pay-per-views are always great. So I come in with the high expectations and things of that nature, even though I don't like to set expectations for myself. But with AEW, man, they always hit stuff out of the ballpark. So I'm at a good 8. Like Maggie said, that three-way dance between Speedball and Omega and Ricochet is going to be a banger. I expect for a friend of the channel, the Jet, to do Jet things and continue to impress on TV with versus Will Ospreay. And the ladies, man, I'm counting on the ladies to turn this sucker out. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it.
So I will be the low man here, and I'm gonna go with a modest 7. Because I think on the AEW scale of pay-per-views, I think there's going to be a lot of good to great matches, but this is a fairly predictable card outside of the main event. So that is why I'm not as high as you guys. And I think coming off of an all-timer pay-per-view with an all-time blunder of a main event choice, so I had so many strong emotions about Revolution going into the show and coming out of the show. I don't have those strong emotions about Dynasty. It feels like, like I think it's someone said in the chat, it feels like a B show. like an AEW pay-per-view event, which I do think we're going to get back to with Double or Nothing, but this is kind of in the middle of it because they did the first one last year.
You guys are bumming me out, man.
I love that. We do have a super chat donation here from the good brother Chuck Berries. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries, for the support. He says, this is not a super chat for SP3 to drink one of Harlem's concoctions. LOL. Just showing love before I begin my shift. Don't worry, she's gonna start doing that again. I think because you guys always want to see me drink her concoctions, she'll start doing that, and that's when all the super chats roll in, because y'all all want to see me drink whatever she makes, which is it's strange. It's strange sometimes. I do. When she does make it for me, I say send some super chats and maybe I'll drink it if we get up to a certain number. We do got Nicky Boy. He says that is fair. Card is pretty predictable, filler almost. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Hey, I'm not saying there's not gonna be some good to great matches. I'm just saying it's not as exciting.
Don't be holding
the Revolution
your glow stick there. Like, what are you doing with that glow?
I don't know. When I have it up on this stand, it doesn't sound as good as when I have it in front of me. So that's why I hold the mic now. But let's get into this card here. Yeah, it's always better. It's always better when you hold it. All right, we're going to start off with the Owen Hart Cup, as the Owen Hart Cup 2025 will begin at AEW Dynasty. And we're going to start off with the aforementioned Kevin the Jet Knight making his AEW pay-per-view debut as an official member of the roster, becoming All Elite after last Saturday's AEW Collision. And he's going to be in the quarterfinals of the Owen Hart men's tournament against pound for pound the best in-ring performer when it comes to an AEW pay-per-view, Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay was the first man to enter his name into the Owen Hart Cup this year with the goal of winning and going on to AEW All in Texas to win the AEW World Championship. Kevin Knight was not originally supposed to be a part of the Owen Hart Cup. It was supposed to be Switchblade Jay White, but unfortunately Switchblade Jay White, in storyline, he was attacked by the Death Riders and pulled from the tournament, but in real life he suffered a broken hand injury, according to Fightful Select and Wrestling Observer. He suffered a broken hand that will keep him out of action, keep him out of the start of the Owen Hart Cup, and he's been replaced by the man that he defeated on last Saturday's Collision and put over, gave a strong endorsement to, Kevin the Jet Knight. These two men and know each other from their time in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They also teamed up together to pick up a win over Blake Christian and Lee Johnson on Dynamite this week. So we'll start with Maggie. Who do you got here between Kevin Knight and Will Ospreay?
Huge bummer for Jay White. I hope he recovers soon. I think it's pretty clear that AEW have huge faith in Kevin Knight, and that's why they're just giving him, he just signed there, and they're giving him the pay-per-view match, not just a pay-per-view match against their top talent in the company. That's I can't wait to see this match. In my eyes, this should open the pay-per-view. Yeah, because what better way? Because for some time, Will Ospreay was opening up Dynamites, and it was the best thing ever because that crowd was hyped from the get-go. And this is a good way to do it. And exactly like Corey said, they're trusting the new signee with a top talent on a pay-per-view event. And of course, this is nothing new. Corey is always right. And I'm going to pick Ospreay here. But I feel like this will be a showing for Kevin Knight.
Yeah, this is going to be a big showcase for Kevin Knight, and I'm happy that he's in there with pound for pound the best in-ring performer in AEW in Will Ospreay. This should be an absolute banger. I agree with Maggie. It should open the show, but I also agree Will Ospreay gets the win here. Jay News?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the clean sweep here. Will wins this match. But like Maggie said, and like I said at the opening, man, I think this is just more a big time showcase for Kevin Knight to show the world what he has. Pay-per-view level of AEW wrestling is different than Dynamite and Collision. So he's got to know when to turn that sucker on, and he'll be able to show out. So I'm definitely cheering for him on that side of things. What the storyline is going to be throughout the Owen is really something that I am interested in now that Jay White is out. So I'm not too sure as to where they're gonna dip and dive and swerve or whatever the case is with the overall storyline in the Owen. But this should definitely be a banger opener if it is the opener. And yeah, man, put the faith in the new people you sign and thrust them into the limelight and let people know who they are right away, instead of like, you know, sometimes some people don't have too much of a background or a history in professional wrestling and things of that nature. And you just, you know, let them show and not tell at the end of the day. So that's what they're doing with Kevin, and I can appreciate that about AEW in this instance. And good things are going to happen.
Joel is wrong. Joel is always wrong, but like, what is he wrong about this?
I don't know what it was, but I highlighted it because I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with it.
yes,
I agree with it.
wrong.
I agree. We do have one of our members here, Negro Buck Nick Jackson, who asks a good question. Who do y'all think is the wild card in the Owen Cup for the men's tournament? We see it on the right-hand side of the bracket when the bracket was revealed, that the bottom half has Hangman Adam Page versus a wild card. Maggie, who is your pick to be the wild card in the Owen Cup?
It fucking better not be Darby Allin. Me and my friend Mark are gonna stop watching if it's Darby fucking Allin, man. Get the fuck out of here. It better be Josh Alexander.
I don't want it to be Josh Alexander because I want Josh to come in and actually win matches and get built for a big matchup. And I think Hangman will win no matter who the wild card is. That's why I'm going with Cedric Alexander to be the wild card in the Owen Hart Cup, because he can come in and lose, and that will play into his storyline of when he's depressed and lost backstage. MVP can come up and give him the card.
That is actually better. I just want to see Josh Alexander wrestle. That's the only thing.
I do too.
And I do agree with this because I want to see Hangman win the Owen. Also everyone in the Owen. I want to win the Owen, but especially Hangman because of, you know, everything that happened. But yes, Cedric Alexander would be better. I'm gonna use that.
What about you, Jay News?
As the wild card for the Owen, I'm gonna spin this magic into the existence, man. I think it's gonna be Jack Perry, bro. We're gonna see the scapegoat return, right? He can take the loss at the end of the day, right? But it'll start to bubble. It will start to continue to bubble the storyline of where the elite is and everything in the grand scheme of AEW right now, as we start to see the returns trickle in towards Double or Nothing and then eventually All In. So I see Jack Perry being the wild card, taking the beating of a lifetime from the hanger, and then we'll continue the on-screen story aspect of it all. I would like to see. I'm with Maggie. I would like to have seen Josh Alexander with it, but also I'm of the mind of SP3. He should be spotlighted and highlighted. He should not be taking a loss his first match in, and he should be kicking ass and taking hits at the end of the day. So that's why I got Jungle Jack coming back and getting his ass kicked.
Okay, I changed my answer to AJ Lee.
I'm done. And it has been revealed by first. It was really Denise Salcedo who interviewed Darby Allin, and Darby let her know that he was climbing Everest on April 15th. And then Wrestling Observer newsletter today corroborated that story as well. Of course, they didn't credit Denise because that's what Wrestling Observer kind of does. But they did corroborate that Darby is planning to climb Everest on April 15th. So it kind of rules him out, kind of not rules him out of being the wild card.
Lord, give me a yes. Yes. Oh. Yeah.
I like Darby Allin. And unlike Maggie, I do like Darby Allin. I just don't want him to. I don't want Tony Khan to wait for someone who has a 60% chance of living to be your next world champion. That's not a good booking decision. But let's continue on the men's part of the Owen Hart Cup as we have our next match here, as they'll have two matches to open up this tournament this Sunday. You have Kyle Fletcher going one-on-one with Mark Briscoe in their fourth encounter in AEW Ring of Honor / Ring of Honor. These two men met for the Ring of Honor World Championship last year when Briscoe was the champion, with Briscoe picking up the win over then Ring of Honor TV champion Kyle Fletcher. Then they met in the Continental Classic in one of the best matches of last year's tournament, with Briscoe picking up another victory over Kyle Fletcher, one of his only loss in the group play of the Continental Classic last year. Then they faced on Collision earlier this year, with Kyle Fletcher picking up his first victory over Mark Briscoe. And now we have the fourth encounter here in the first round of the Owen Hart Cup. Their last two matches have been absolute superb. This should be another great matchup here as well. But I am going with Kyle Fletcher to even up the series at 2-2 to move on to the semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup. Jay News, who you got here? Fletcher, Briscoe, 4.
Well, I'm gonna go with chicken, man. I'm gonna go with my heart here, and I'm gonna go with chicken, and I'm gonna tell you why. Right? One, Takeshita has his own match on Dynasty, right? There's no Brian Cage. Lance Archer might not be.
Takeshi's not on. Takeshi's not on Dynasty.
He's not? Oh, that sucks. Anyways.
No.
My play was with Mark Davis now gone as well, or whatever the case is. He's not going to have anybody around and whatnot. So I know he's good enough to beat Mark Briscoe by himself, but I feel like Mark Briscoe getting a win here leads into an underdog story just for the night, or whatever the case is, or for the tournament or whatever, for Mark Briscoe and things of that nature. Fletcher can afford to take a loss or whatever the case is, because for me, it's like he's on the top of their mountain right now, and it'll probably give him some more depth character-wise and things of that nature. So I'm gonna go with chicken here, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going with chicken.
I'm gonna go with a bold take here. I think that's gonna be the wildest prediction we get in this whole preview, sure, because I don't think Mark Briscoe has a shot to win. I love Mark Briscoe. I love chicken so much, but he doesn't have a shot to win here. Maggie, what about you? Who you got winning? Briscoe, Fletcher.
So, Kyle Fletcher's loss to Mark Briscoe in the C2 was the weirdest thing ever, because it was so random. Incredibly random for me. But I think Kyle Fletcher wins here, but I do understand where Jay is coming from, because I kind of felt like Don Callis was a bit mad at Kyle Fletcher for losing at Revolution. Also, he was mad at Takeshita for losing against Omega. But Kyle Fletcher was acting as if everything was okay backstage, and Don Callis had a weird expression on his face. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but if Kyle Fletcher loses here, it would further this story even more. But I'm still going to go with Kyle Fletcher. Yeah, Jay? But
no, if you look at it as well, on Dynamite that just passed, Lance Archer just lost his match that he had, and Don Callis now is going into further disillusion or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's like, from a storyline perspective, it makes, from what Maggie was saying, it makes sense in that perspective. And yes, Chase, thank you for the backup, brother. Takeshita will not be in the building, as a matter of fact.
Because he's in Japan. We literally just did the preview earlier this week.
Because it being fast.
That's why I was like, that's why I had to stop you. I wanted to let you cook, but I was like, that's impossible. That's impossible.
I forget dates, but the point of it was that he won't be around, right? So there won't be anybody from the Don Callis family around to help Kyle win the match. I understand he doesn't need the help, but at times he does get it. So and Mark Davis got injured again or whatever. So, there's that aspect of it. So, yeah, man, chicken for the win here, just for a brief moment of underdog story to have in Owen. But it's interesting what they're doing with Don Callis right now. And I don't know what he said to his lookalike over
he said he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, he mentioned it on commentary. So you are right that, of course, Kyle Fletcher doesn't need help for that, but he's been kind of cocky lately, and this could cost him. I understand where Jay's coming from, but I'm still gonna go with Kyle Fletcher because I adore Kyle Fletcher, man. I feel like he's the future for the company, and sadly, I'm not that invested into Mark Briscoe's character into winning. I know that.
Yes, sir.
The way to make Mark Briscoe interesting in that way is to actually give him some wins. Mm-hmm. I understand that, but I'm kind of not invested in that, and I'm hugely invested into Kyle Fletcher. That is the only reason.
Kyle Fletcher's gonna get his big loss when he loses to Hangman Adam Page. That's the whole thing. This is that's why I say it doesn't make sense for Mark Briscoe to win, because all he's gonna do is lose to Hangman Adam Page in the next round. Because I want to get your predictions, but I think it's quite obvious. This is why I feel like the bracket for the women's side of the Owen Hart Cup clears and does a full lap around the men's bracket, even though the men will probably have excellent matches, because I think we're going to get Ospreay and Knight is going to be great on this show. I think Fletcher and Briscoe will be another great matchup between those two. I think that in the second round, Ospreay and Takeshita and Brody in the first round, those two will be absolute bangers as well. And Fletcher versus Hangman will be an absolute banger as well. But I think it's quite obvious it's Hangman and Ospreay in the final. What do y'all think? Who do you think is going to the final of the men?
Exactly.
So?
That's the match. That's the match.
That's the match
for Double or Nothing, because that was something that Ospreay wanted to work with, Hangman, and that's an awesome match for a Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Eventually, for it to get to Ospreay versus Hanger and things of that nature, obviously the guys who are the faces of AEW, right? But the reason as to why I picked chicken, right? Because you have to give some sort of
protein
depth to the characters or a storyline within what's going on. Is the history that Mark Briscoe has with Hangman at the end of the day. Them being in ROH for long periods of time, the relationship and things of that nature, and all that. And obviously, we're still dealing with the Millennial Cowboy being the emotional mess that he is. So having to take out somebody he probably admires to a certain degree and have that be the emotional linchpin in the match, I think would serve better for the match, and they can probably play it up in vignettes and videos and things of that nature because they have the licensing for it. So I feel like that would be a better play to add some storyline depth to the tournament in that sense. So.
Then we go over to the women's side of the Owen Hart Cup as the opening round matchup. We'll see in the quarterfinals the TBS champion, the undisputed Rev Pro British Women's Champion, and of course the NJPW Strong Women's Champion Mercedes Moné, 4 belts Moné, will go one-on-one with former TBS champion Julia Hart. Julia Hart came into Dynasty last year as the TBS champion. She has not performed or had a matchup on pay-per-view since then, and she may get the best match of her career here against Mercedes. What do you think about Mercedes being in the tournament this year, and who do you have winning on Sunday, Maggie?
Okay, so first of all, Ref Pro and Mercedes Moné wins here. I feel like this is one of the easiest matches to predict on the card. I'm looking forward to it. The former TBS champion and a current TBS champion. I have they faced each other before?
No, first
No.
time.
Yeah, first time, right? Because I couldn't possibly, for the life of me, remember of a previous match, and I wonder if they will have chemistry. But it's really hard to have a bad match against Mercedes Moné. God knows we've seen it, but it's really hard to have a bad match with her. I'm looking forward to it. It being incredibly predictable, but it's still gonna be really good, hopefully.
Yeah. J News?
Yep, I expect Mercedes to win this match in particular with Julia Hart. I think they continue to build the tough bitch angle with Julia Hart. This will be one of those one of those matches where Julia Hart gets her metal tested, and she's gonna have to go and dig deep. And I think that you'll probably hear some sort of a promo from Mercedes giving her flowers during the match and things of that nature. So, giving more depth to the new angle of the character that Julia Hart is becoming and things of that nature. So but Mercedes for the win definitely, and hopefully to Maggie's point, the girls have good chemistry, because depending as to how they go over the match, or if they're just going to go into it, on a blank slate tip, we'll see how it goes, man. But hopefully it'll be a good one. I'm pulling for the ladies. The ladies have been killing it lately. So hopefully this is also a banger of a match, and it continues to get the ladies up that ladder in AEW TV.
Yeah, I'm going with Mercedes Moné to pick up the victory here, because I got to get my Mercedes versus Athena in the second round. And this is why the main reason why the women's bracket is so much better than the men's bracket is because they decided to do something they never really do, is put two favorites on the same side of the bracket, because they have Mercedes and Athena on the right hand side of the bracket. So it opens up the entire field, because you could see the winner of that matchup going on and winning in the finals and going on to face Toni Storm. You could see the loser of that matchup interfering in the finals and costing the winner to set up their matchup at All in Texas. I think there's so many different ways that they can go here in this one. But Maggie, what do you think is going to be the final of the women's side of the Owen Hart Cup this year?
Listen, I'm not that thrilled that we're getting Mercedes and Athena that early, because I'm incredibly looking forward to Mercedes versus Athena at All In.
You can still get it.
Yeah, sure. I hope, but here's the thing: I want this to be the fucking main event. I want these two women to main event All In. Fucking give it to me. That was someone's neck. I'm not gonna.
I see that.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah. So the finals. For me personally, I want to see Mercedes Moné versus Thunder Rosa, but who knows if we're gonna get that, because I that's what I want to see. But who's on the left side of those brackets? Statlander?
You got Jamie
Thunder
Hayter
Rosa?
versus Billy
Hayter.
Starks,
Okay.
and Thunder Rosa versus Chris Statlander.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna get Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné, and I'm never gonna say no to that. But the thing is, what you said was true. We can see Athena costing Mercedes the match, and this is what would set up, and their match at All In. But I would hate that, because it's Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné, and I want to see that match, a proper match. And I am barely coexisting, pun intended, with all the stupid shit on Raw and NXT. I don't need that on my AEW pay-per-view. So
I think that Mercedes wins against Athena because I think they're gonna do that in Boston for Spring Breakthrough. So you have Mercedes win that in her hometown of Boston. You do Mercedes versus Jamie or Mercedes versus Chris Statlander 3, and Athena costs Mercedes that matchup, the setup. I think it's going to be first. They're going to do Mercedes versus Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship at Supercard of Honor because Supercard of Honor needs a main event because that sure it ain't going to be whoever wins the Ring of Honor World Title match on this show. So you need a main event for that show. So I would do Mercedes and Athena for the Ring of Honor World Championship there, and then do Athena versus Mercedes 3 at All In Texas, title for title.
why are they having Jericho versus Bandido on the show? Why?
We're about to get into that next. But Jay News, what's your pick for the final of the Owen Hart Cup? Right now I'm going with Jamie Hayter and Mercedes. What about you?
It's I if I had the bracket in front of me, it just seems like that's the way to go. It would be Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter, and like Maggie said, I wouldn't be mad at it. The way I see it all playing out, if for it to get to a third match at All In between Mercedes and Athena, right? If Mercedes does face Athena in the second round, it would have to be a surprise win for either or competitor, like a surprise roll up. It can't be a definitive win with their finisher. Someone cost someone a match throughout the sequence of the storyline and things of that nature, and then at All In, it'll be title for title, as SP3 said. I think that's probably the way to go. The Jamie Hayter bit of it is the part where I wonder what they're going to do with her is really my thought process. And I love Jamie Hayter, but there hasn't really been much developed for her character wise as of yet. So if they take advantage of the Owen in that sense to flesh out some more character work for Jamie, then cool. But I'm just worried as to what they're gonna do with her from a character standpoint. Her wrestling is incredible. What she did to amplify her freaking haterade the other day off the second rope was crazy and whatnot. So I have no worries for her in the ring. It's just more like how are they going to continue to make the fans care about her from a character perspective? That's really what I worry about. So if they can take advantage of the tournament to continue to do that for her, then that'll be cool. And I think that should play out on her side of the bracket for the Owen.
Yeah, I think if Jamie Hayter wins the Owen, she's turning heel before All In Texas because that's the better. If she's facing Toni Storm at All In, she has to turn heel.
Yeah.
But let's move away from the Owen Hart Cup and let's talk about Maggie's favorite match on this card, Chris Jericho defending the Ring of Honor World Championship in a title versus mask match as Bandido will put his mask on a line for his second opportunity as Jericho as champion. It was in February. These two men met for the Ring of Honor World Championship on Collision in a very good matchup with Chris Jericho pulling off the victory there. Then on the 0 hour for AEW Revolution, it was supposed to be Chris Jericho versus Bandido's brother Gravity, but instead Jericho and the Learning Tree jumped Gravity, beat him down in front of his mom and his sister. Bandido tried to come out and help him, but they took care of him as well, and they stole the mask of Gravity, embarrassing him in front of his family, making his mother cry. Bandido has been on a mission to get the mask back. He got it back on the episode of Collision after picking up a victory over Johnny TV, which led to Chris Jericho making the challenge for a title versus mask matchup, which Bandido has accepted. Is this the night that finally Chris Jericho, the Nueve, will lose the Ring of Honor World Championship? Please, dear God, yes. I think Bandido picks up the victory here. Maggie.
Okay, so imagine, if you will, this is a bag of dicks. This match can suck the entirety of the contents of this bag. I don't care about this match whatsoever. And it's not Bandido's fault. Next.
So Bandito for the win. Okay.
Sure.
J News. J News, who you got?
I mean, I feel like they tried their best with the storyline. By majority, it seems like the AEW fan base isn't with the shits when it comes to Chris Jericho. So if I'm just leaning on that, I'm going to go with the most wanted, aka Bandido, to get the win here and become two-time ROH champion at the end of the day. And Tony Khan, do me a favor and please change those ROH championships that you have. They all look like fucking toys. Anyways, just wanted to say that.
That's fair. That's also fair. Then we got for the TNT championship is going to be Daniel Garcia defending the gold against Adam Cole. No time limit, no outside interference. The stipulation was added after their last two matchups. These two men met on an episode of Collision, with the match going over 15 minutes before Shane Taylor Promotions interfered in the matchup back in February. This happened. Then they had their rematch just a couple of weeks back on Slam Dunk edition of Collision in March, and Cole almost had the victory with the boom, but time ran out in the 20-minute time limit. So they had a promo exchange on last week's Collision where they said they wanted to make it no time limit, no outside interference. There must be a winner. Can Danny Garcia hold on to the TNT title, or will Adam Cole win his first singles gold in All Elite Wrestling? I think it is time for Adam Cole to shit or get off the pot. I think he gets his first singles title win in AEW here and picks up the victory over Danny Garcia. Garcia's hasn't had the best run, but it's time to refresh the scene a bit and have Cole get the win. J News, who you got?
Yeah, I got Adam Cole, baby. At the end of the day, there's not much else to it. I am of the opposite mindset of the majority of folks online with Daniel Garcia's TNT title run. I think it's been an interesting story that they've been telling with it, how he's been getting his wins as TNT champion and things of that nature. Always getting by the skin of his teeth, never necessarily ever doing anything definitively and whatnot, learning how to be a champion at the same time. But there comes a time when, you pay a man a certain amount of money, and he's come back from injury, and, he's been good. He's been great on the mic, and, people like his in-ring stuff. And Adam Cole's still one of your most popular talents on AEW. You gotta strap him up. And I think it's time. I think they're going to have a great match. Their last match was great at that.
Yeah.
So, they'll have a better match here with no time limit and no outside interference and things of that nature. And Adam Cole will prevail. Definitely wanting to see as to what comes next for Danny outside of the TNT Championship run, because he's another young guy that AEW has in their stable of young guys that's going to be the future of this company. So I wonder how they're going to continue to mold and evolve his character as the years go on.
Maggie?
I hope to God that this is the last time that I say, I hope this person wins the TNT championship and then finally gets to do something with it. I hope this is the last time, because tell me a good TNT champion other than Miro. I dare you.
Christian Cage.
Yeah, okay.
He's the best. He's the greatest TNT champion of all time.
Yeah, sure. It wasn't him, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
No, I'm talking about his entire reign when Killswitch was supposedly the TNT champion into him becoming the real TNT champion.
Okay,
Christian Cage was the best, and he put it on a main event level, especially with the Coke feud.
You're right. You got me there. I totally forgot about Christian. I wonder why. So it's bring back the open challenge for the TNT belt. That was the best. I love that. So many indie wrestlers were shown on Dynamite during Cody's TNT championship reign. It was as if it was 20 years ago, but it's not. Yes, I'm gonna pick Adam Cole here, and again, hopefully something happens with that belt after. Um, the the sad part is that I don't know where Daniel Garcia goes after he loses the TNT championship. While I do see Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong going for the trios championships, but Denny will be, you know, directionless if he loses. But I'm still gonna pick Adam Cole. Bye bye.
Yeah, I think Danny, this won't be his last run with the TNT championship. That's the only solace that I have. I think he will get back to the title eventually, but he needs a change, and the scene needs a refresher as well. Something that I'm going to probably be very quick on in the explanation and on my prediction here for the AEW World Tag Team Championships is the Hurt Syndicates, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus the Learning Trees, Big Bill and Brian Keith. Big Bill and Brian Keith made the challenge to the Hurt Syndicate 2 weeks ago on AEW Dynamite. MVP rightfully looked at them and said, how about y'all go beat a tag team, because they had literally 0 tag team wins before they challenged for the titles after Chris Jericho told them to go prove themselves after being disappointed with his Learning Tree members. This led to Big Bill and Brian Keith picking up a victory over Top Flight last Saturday on Collision. They picked up another win on Dynamite against those guys, as Big Bill put him. Those guys, as Big Bill put it. And now they get the title opportunity this Sunday at Dynasty. This was originally planned to be the Murder Machines, but Brian Cage went down with the injury, so they were replaced by Big Bill and Brian Keith. Totally fine with them as a replacement. Thinks this will be a fine matchup, but there's no doubt Hurt Syndicate for the win. Maggie?
Yes, hopefully, God, yes, please. But I do see MJF helping them win, or making it look as if he's helping them win.
I think MJF's gonna take credit for something that they don't need his help to do.
No. But this is what, because like he was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to prove myself to you then, and then he walked away.
It's gonna be perfect. J News.
Yeah, Hurt Syndicate for the win here. I've been iffy with this tag team of Big Bill and Brian Keith. I like them as individuals.
I hate it.
I like them as to Maggie's point. I mean, hate's a strong word.
No, but, it's not.
It's a strong word.
It's light word.
But at the end of the day, it just doesn't work for me, brother. And the Hurt Syndicate wins here. AEW has an immense amount of tag teams in their stable, so for them to put 2 in singles wrestlers together to be a tag team just to face the Hurt Syndicate kind of just throws away the whole thing. But at the same time, it also proves that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin kind of like more or less dwarf the majority of the tag team division, right, from a physical standpoint. So you have to give them credible opponents, but you can do that through storytelling and things of that nature. So I'm still waiting to see the Young Bucks return. I'm still waiting to see what they're gonna do with some of the other tag teams on the freaking roster and things of that nature. GYV still hasn't really done anything since they signed to AEW, which is disappointing to me. But yeah, man, Hurt Syndicate for the win here. If MJF gets involved, it just continues there and involves their storyline on that side of things or whatever. So that would be cool. But this is probably the most predictable match of the night at the end of the day. So there's that.
This is why I said this card has a lot of predictability to it. But one match that could go either way, despite the build-up kind of pointing us in one direction, is the AEW World Trios Championships, as we're going to get the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac defending the gold against Rated FTR, Cope, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Heading into this one, there's a lot of dissension on the rated FTR side of things after the Death Riders returned and got involved in his matchup against Jon Moxley on the street fight on 2 weeks ago on Dynamite. It was FTR who came out to make the save, but Cope still suffered a loss thanks to interference from the Patriarchy. Post-match, Cope looked to Dax Harwood to help him out to get on his feet, but Dax Harwood left him hanging and walked away from him after being disappointed that Cope once again fell short in his quest to win the AEW World Championship. Dax then explained after apologizing to Cope that he felt like the FTR had become distracted with Cope's quest to win the gold and not with their own quest to regain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Cash Wheeler was the one who suggested that Rated FTR has a lot left in the tank and wanted them to go for the Trios Championships, which led to Cope making the challenge and Dax and Cash agreeing. We've seen over the last couple of shows, we've seen Dax suffered a loss to Wheeler Yuta on Collision last week, with him snapping afterwards, almost attacking the referee before his security tried to hold him back. Cash Wheeler helped him out by pulling the security away, but Dax didn't know that it was Cash, thought it was his security guard, and pushed him on his ass, led to a confrontation between the two. Dax once again apologized to Cash, as well as Paul Turner, the referee, and Cash didn't accept the apology, says they need to talk after Dynasty, but they'll be fine on Sunday. And we also saw Cope pick up a victory over Claudio Castagnoli this past week on Dynamite to give them a bit of momentum heading into the matchup. So there is plenty of dissension on the side of Rated FTR. And I think just to add some more intrigue into the main event, I'm going to go with Death Riders to pick up the victory here, retain the Trios Championships. Not that I think they're having a great run as Trios Champion. I absolutely don't. But I want to see what happens with Rated FTR. My prediction is post-match, FTR turns on Cope, lays him out with the Shatter Machine, and we're heading towards All In Texas, FTR versus Christian and Cope. Maggie.
Okay, let's not skip over the fact that Dax gave Paul Turner $10,000 to take his wife to dinner. Let's not forget about
That's
that.
not how fines work. You have to pay the company back.
No, the company. I don't get it. I'm okay. First of all, Death Riders win. I will just let's get this out of the way. But I do feel like we're gonna get a bit of friction between Dax and Cash before they turn on Copeland. I don't know where this happens, but I think that Dax pushes Cash away again on the pay-per-view, and they argue with one another, and one of them gets pinned. I don't know which one, probably Dax. And then they, get a little back and forth, and then eventually turn on Copeland, because there's a lot of time to All In. Like this, we have time for this for that to happen. But Death Riders win. Absolutely. But there will not be, like, Rated FTR are not fine. Bullet Club is fine.
No.
Yeah.
No. But I will say, this whole storyline is the most I've been interested in FTR since they lost the tag team titles 2 years ago. This is the most interesting storyline they've been a part of in 2 years. J News, who you got here?
It's interesting you say that with the way that folks have been treating Cope online and the fan base calling him Cope Hogan. He's probably the one who came up with the storyline altogether. And it's the most interesting you found FTR in quite some time. So imagine that. But I would say I'm with the rest of the band here. The Death Riders for the win. I'm in a spot right now where I feel like a lot of different talents who are part of teams, factions, and things of that nature should be doing solo work. I have been a fan of Pac for over a decade, and seeing him in a trios is just, you take so much away from who the bastard is. And it's like, what are we doing here? I understand what they're trying to do for Wheeler Yuta, but for there's ups, there's downs. There's been more downs than ups with Wheeler, so it's like, I think I saw a comment before I got on here on Twitter about how somebody said that they have found Claudio Castagnoli to be even more boring than his WWE run on AEW, which I thought was harsh. So it's like, there's a lot of yeah, man, this trios division, they have other teams they can work with. They should really let the Death Riders do something else. They definitely have to let Rated FTR do something else. And yeah, not that I don't care necessarily. I'm more concerned with the outcome and the breakdown of what happens afterwards than the actual match and what the decision is going to be. It was funny. I saw somebody in the chat said that that Dax paid the referee the $10,000 to fix the match. That would be funny. That would be a twist to have during the match.
That would be smart on his part. I would be like, you know what? Good move. Good move, sir.
So,
thinking long gamer there.
Word.
That Dax Harwood.
By the way, give me that person's ad that said this about Claudio / Cesaro. I'm gonna ruin their lives for a bit because I will protect Cesaro / Claudio with my life. That man deserves all the titles along with Kevin Owens.
I will never downplay what he's meant to the wrestling industry and what kind of a performer he's been. But man, there are just times where it's like, brother, give me something. Like, make me feel something. You know what I'm saying? And when
It's not his culture.
I would beg to differ at this point in his career, to be quite honest.
You
I don't think it's his
shut
fault.
your mouth.
He's in this Death Rider story. I don't blame him too much for this.
Right. Whatever works, man. Whatever
This
works.
is fucking ridiculous. Listen, when I finished work today on my way home, because I wanted to be fucking professional on this prediction show. I don't know why. And then I was listening to the media call for Dynasty with TK. Biggest mistake of my life, man, let me tell you. Because I sat there, walked there, listening to Tony Khan answer 0 questions. 0. And then Sean asked him, hey, like, this was the question which made me stop listening to, that whole media call, because what the fuck, man? So he asked, Tony, like, do you let's take the Death Rider story. Do you always want to write it until the end? Or would you, maybe consider some altercations when you know that, your online base or your online fans comment that it's not interesting or whatever? He did not answer that fucking question. Like, he just started, being old TK and old promotion mode, weird thingy. Like, answer the goddamn question. Would you make it go away? Or just stick to your fucking, what the fuck is this story? And then just give us breadcrumbs, and we're all gonna get a person named Mark or Mike or whatever the fuck it was, so that we both can stop watching the fucking product. What the hell is this? No, I will never watch or listen to another media call ever in my life. I don't know why I keep trying to be professional on these shows. This is not what people watch me for. Not my professionalism. Like, I know, I need to stop that.
Now you've realized. Now you've learned. But let's talk about a match that will get Maggie happy again. For the AEW International Championship, Kenny Omega makes his first defense in a 3-way matchup against Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Ricochet. They did a eliminator tournament to determine who would face Omega at Dynasty that started the week after Revolution. Speedball Mike Bailey made his debut and defeated the Beast Mortos. Meanwhile, Ricochet went on Collision and defeated Katsuyori Shibata to set up a four-way matchup with Orange Cassidy and Mark Davis on 3 weeks ago on Dynamite. In that matchup, great match, we saw Ricochet and Speedball get the pin on Mark Davis. Instead of restarting the matchup or anything, Paul Turner named both men the winner of the matchup and thus the number one contender to face Kenny Omega at Dynasty, making this matchup a three-way. We haven't got much of a build outside of that, with Ricochet being away 2 weeks ago for his wedding. We will have Speedball Mike Bailey versus Dralistico on Collision with Ricochet on commentary to add a little bit. But this match is a match because you know when the bell rings, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. This comes off the heels of last year. We had the Wrestle Dream three-way matchup between Takeshita, Ospreay, and Ricochet. That was one of the best matches of the year, but this one might be just as good, if not better. But I'm going with Kenny Omega for the victory here. Maggie, to let us know how much you're looking forward to this one and who wins.
Okay. You know how I always come on these shows and I'm like, oh, I'm so hyped for this pay-per-view, and then I start crapping all over the matches every time. But like this is the one. Speedball and Kenny. Also Ricochet, but Speedball and Kenny. Yay. It's first of all, I'm going with Kenny. I don't know if Okada confronts Kenny right after this match, or are they gonna, give it some time to breathe? Because I cannot believe that Okada isn't on the pay-per-view. But if they're just gonna give him a random match on the pay-per-view, people are gonna complain that it's random. So might as well not, have him, on the card. But I still protest. I'm sure that at this point I don't know if we've ever gotten to see a three-way match in the capacity of AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. I don't think that any three-way will ever hump so much as this one. But every now and then we have a magnificent three-way that has the potential to be as awesome as this match. So I wonder if this trios match will be the one, at least to be on the same level. I'm not saying because also nostalgia. I don't think that any three-way match will be better than the one we had at TNA. But fingers crossed that we get, the same level. Again, Kenny Omega retains here. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, J News. Who you got?
This is a match for the sake of match sake to have it. We don't need a story here. This is not what this was built on. I don't want the drama or the dramatee or the dramatization of anything. I need all three of these men to understand once the bell rings, it's 100 miles an hour or you failed. That is all I want to see. That is it. Sometimes people make things out to be more than what they are. This ain't it, fam. Give me the banger from beginning to end, and I will be happy. Now, to state that Okada is not on the pay-per-view, right, it's key, right? Because if he does come out and confront Kenny Omega, just confronts him, right? Doesn't necessarily have to lay him out, just confronts him and things of that nature. That will start. That's going to be the snowball effect towards All In at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I think that would be cool because it'll be very New Japan-esque at the end of the day. So I'd appreciate that. And then to see what's going to happen with the other two guys in this match, where Ricochet goes from here and where Speedball goes from here, that's going to be interesting, right? Because Speedball, the majority of whatever matches Speedball is going to have outside of Will and maybe some other talents are all going to be brand new matches. So depending as to where they want to go, everything's going to be new. and we'll see what kinds of stories they can develop around Speedball to endear him more to the crowd and things of that nature. And freaking Ricochet needs to play up everything that he's been doing, man. I feel this is in my own headcanon. I feel like he should definitely lean into the being married to the bomb ass chick effect, and his wife makes
he
it.
Needs to have Samantha as his personal ring announcer.
Yes, one that or her being the overbearing cheerleader girlfriend who gets on everybody's nerves, and I swear it'll work because they're a match made in heaven in that way. That's what I want to see. So, oh man, because she's funny, man. She's a funny person. I've seen the stuff that she does online on her Instagram and stuff like that. So she can be super creative. So having her do character work, I think would be, if she wants to do it, obviously. But I think that would be a cool addition to the Ricochet act as it exists right now. But definitely from a match perspective, Kenny Omega for the win, obviously, because if rumors are true and they want to consolidate these belts, there's no bigger match to have than Kenny Omega versus Okada at All In. So that there's too much history there not to make it happen. So I'm all with that.
Agreed. And yeah, I agree with Alexander here. The Ospreay Takeshita Ricochet was great. It's the closest thing that we've gotten to AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. It's the only other three-way I've ever given a 5-star rating to.
Yes.
Hello. Why are you hitting me with the door? You want to say hi? She ran. She
Give
knew
your
I was gonna
daddy
pull her to be
something
on
to
camera.
drink.
I should have been like, make me a concoction, please. But yeah, I think Ricochet is really the glue of this matchup. Him being the asshole heel is the glue of this whole thing. So I'm looking forward to this one. This is definitely has match of the night written all over it. Potential even match of the year. All the key to this one to me is it's got to be like the Kenny Omega Orange Cassidy pack match from Double or Nothing 2021, where that matchup everybody went in being like Kenny Omega's going to win this and retain the title. We have to have the one near fall that gets people to bite to think someone else is going to win. In that matchup, it's Orange hitting the orange punch on Kenny. He hits 2 orange punches on him and gets an excellent near fall that Don Callis breaks up. We need that for Speedball. Have Speedball hit Ultimo Weapon on Kenny, and Ricochet pulls the referee out, and that will get people to bite on it and believe Speedball could win.
Yes.
We got a super chat donation here from the good brother Chilling with Chase. Thank you so much, Chase, for the support. He says Harlem tax. He knows the deal. He knows the deal. Yes. Everyone pay their Harlem tax. Always appreciated. But we got next up our final 2 matches. You got for the AEW Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm defends against Megan Bayne. Timeless Toni Storm, of course, coming off the heels of an absolutely instant classic match of the year candidate against Mariah May at Revolution, where she retained the AEW Women's World Championship. She cut an excellent promo on the Dynamite following Revolution, but was attacked from behind by the newest star of the AEW Women's Division, Megan Bayne. Bayne has been undefeated in singles action, picking up victories against former AEW Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa, as well as Chris Statlander, but she has also been getting under the skin of Timeless Toni Storm with various attacks. Then 2 weeks ago on Dynamite, she pinned the champion by hitting her with face descent in a tag team matchup of Thunder Tits versus Janela's Girls, as I like to call them, Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. But Megan Bayne also was there to see Timeless Toni Storm pick up a victory over Penelope Ford on this past Wednesday's Dynamite. This feels like the biggest obstacle that Toni Storm has ever faced as AEW Women's World Champion. Will Megan Bayne's dominance over the division continue and she becomes the new champion, or will Timeless Toni Storm find a way to survive the Megasis? Maggie.
I kind of feel like this match is kind of unfair for Megan Bayne so early into her AEW re-debut. Because I think that Toni Storm wins this. I hope Toni Storm wins this match because she just got that championship back. And this means that Megan Bayne would lose. I don't know. I want zero interference in this match. I'm not that sold on Megan Bayne just yet. She is a beast. But I feel like this match will certify her in my eyes for for the near future. But I don't know. I don't know where she goes after this because like she I feel like she just got there. I know she didn't. But she's been here for like a week or so, and
Yeah,
I'm
she
exaggerating.
re-debuted in January.
Yeah, like it's been a week, and I don't know what's the right decision here. That's but I do hope Toni Storm wins. It's hard for me to imagine who dethrones Toni Storm right now because she's my favorite, and this character is everything. And I don't know. I'm just kind of a bit scared, a bit scared because it's really unfair when you have in a women's division such as the women's division in AEW when you have one thing that is so big that nothing could touch it. It's not fair. I'm gonna pick Toni Storm here just to be sure.
J News, who you got?
It's interesting, man. I mean, I've seen the arguments from both sides of the fence. I myself was leaning towards a Megan Bayne win to help the AEW women's division create another star. I also see the other side of the argument where it's like, why would Toni lose? She's the biggest star in the women's division. Why would you make her lose her championship? Well, you need to make another big star in the women's division, don't you? At the end of the day, unless you're saying to me, Toni wins via DQ, even though Megan completely demolishes her during the match. She's completely dominating and she looks great. But someone interferes and just continues to mess with Toni Storm, which then lets Toni retain her championship and win via disqualification. But that would then put somebody else in Megan Bayne's crosshairs, which I think wouldn't be a bad idea at the end of the day for costing her a championship. Is I think would be a viable way to go if they're not trying to put the rocket pack on Megan Bayne. That is, the Toni Storm character is the best character in wrestling today. That is my personal opinion.
That is the correct opinion. That is the correct opinion. That's not just your opinion. That's the correct opinion.
She is everything.
That is the only opinion.
She is everything right now, and you can't have her off of television. Obviously, she's a tremendous in-ring competitor and things of that nature, but this character is just next level. The elevation of the rest of the women's roster is key for AEW, and how they go about doing that is still to be determined, because it's Toni, it's Mercedes, and then it's the rest of the girls, really, right? So they need to continue to bring the rest of the girls up, and they have to find a way to do it. And I get it. Look, I'm gonna stand on Toni wins here. They're not gonna give Megan Bayne the title, but how do you continue to elevate Megan Bayne as this badass dominating woman, this big bitch, as Toni put it? How do you continue this trend if she loses this match to Toni, right? If she, like, it's the rare occasion where the person who loses the match still comes out looking that much better. But if they can viably get that done during this match without chicanery, then I'm all for it. But I don't trust AEW booking to do that. But I'm going with Toni Storm here for the win. The future is really what's in a little bit of flux for me about all this. So
Yeah, there's definitely an argument to make to get put the title on Megan Bayne, continue her dominance over the division because she's big, she's tough, she could be the monster heel for the division. You can potentially have a Chris Statlander win the Owen Hart Cup and dethrone her for the title at All In Texas. If you want to go in that direction, follow up with their feud that's built up Megan Bayne to this spot, but I saw Big Man Dogs put it. This is the equivalent of Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1998.
Sure.
You do not have Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1998 putting over other people. You don't have Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1998 put over Kane and have it last more than one day. Like, you do not do that. You keep the title on Austin. Toni Storm is not just the biggest female star in AEW. She's the best character in the entire company, and she feels like she's the biggest entire star in this entire company. You keep the title on her, but you make Megan Bayne look strong in defeat. I say book it like Umaga versus Cena from a New Year's Revolution 2007, where she takes 80 to 90% of this matchup, does Megan Bayne, and what does Toni Storm do? She's the smarter wrestler, and she wins with her signature move, the small package. And then Megan Bayne destroys her post-match to set up a stipulation match for Double or Nothing. Because this feud has legs to continue on, and you can get a bigger blow-off where Toni finally legit beats Megan Bayne, and Megan Bayne is still put over in the process of this feud. But this has done a lot to put Megan Bayne in this position where people believe she can win on Sunday.
I will pin you with my small package.
My sentiments exactly. And then finally, we have the biggest toss-up of them all on this card, and that is the main event for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley defends against Swerve Strickland. It was back at Revolution. Swerve Strickland became the number one contender for the AEW World Title by defeating Ricochet in an excellent matchup on the card. Later in the show, Jon Moxley in the main event defeated Cope. Swerve basically got the upper hand on Moxley originally by attacking him post-match with a swerve stomp onto Moxley and a bunch of security. Moxley got his lick back on an episode of Collision where Swerve talked about the rematch between Cope and Mox attacked him from behind with a crowbar to the leg and then gave him a stomp right on his broken eardrum. The two men had a promo exchange where Swerve says that he is everything that Moxley used to be, while Moxley is just having fun playing Jon Moxley on TV, and Swerve is going to take back the title and restart the Dynasty era. The two men faced in a tornado mixed tag team matchup, with Swerve getting the win with Willow Nightingale over Mox and Marina Shafir, but Moxley got the last laugh by giving the paradigm shift DDT to Willow. Swerve said he was going to get his revenge by getting his hands on Mox at the end of the night, but he got slightly distracted by his arch nemesis Hangman Adam Page, who they had a wonderful exchange where Hangman said, "You broke into my house." Swerve said, "You burnt down my house." Hangman said, "You deserved it." And Swerve says, "I know." Because Swerve is showing the depth of his character because he learned his lesson from the Ricochet feud where Nana says he makes everything so personal when he doesn't have to, that he realizes that he took things too far with Hangman, which led to his house being burned down, which led to him being taken out, that he's learned his lesson and knows that he deserved everything Hangman did to him, making Hangman basically have an emotional conniption and have to walk away. But then the Moxley and the Death Riders attacked Swerve, threw him in a glass plane, and then power bombed him on top of glass in the ring before Swerve rise to his feet like the Undertaker meets the Terminator and showed Mox it's going to take more than that to take down him at Dynasty. Can Swerve repeat history this Sunday and become the champion 1 year after he became the first ever African-American AEW World Champion? Or will the Death Riders' reign continue? Maggie.
If Revolution didn't end up being the revolution that we wanted to. It having the main event, Toni Storm versus Mariah May, which should have absolutely 100% main event the show. And if it weren't for that deflating main event of Revolution, I would have been almost 100% sure that Moxley was going to retain. Now I am only completely sure that he's going to retain. Listen, after this entire exchange with Swerve Strickland and Hangman on Dynamite, let me just explain to you that we saw a power bomb on broken glass, and no one's talking about that. Everyone's talking about an exchange of words between wrestlers. This is what wrestling is. This is wrestling. When no one gives a crap, that it was so badass, the power bomb, and then Swerve just did the Undertaker, stand up thing, and like that was so cool. But what everyone's talking about was that backstage exchange between Hangman and Swerve, me included. So because of this, I think that Hangman will accidentally cost Swerve the match because he came out to help Swerve, but he accidentally cost him the match. And this is bugging me because God no, I just no. I feel like them keeping the title on Moxley will be absolutely catastrophic for the company. And I don't know, I've always said this, the Death Riders was something that was so incredibly promising. They started off with fucking choking Bryan Danielson with a bag. They tried to murder the guy in the ring. And it was so cool. I'm sorry, but it was so cool. And it was so promising. And this was supposed to be something really, really good. It's The Fiend all over again. And they ruined it. They ruined it. And now they have to make amends by putting that championship on Swerve once again. Swerve should always win on Dynasty. And also all the time.
Makes sense
And
to me.
I'm not just saying that because I dreamt I was dating Swerve 2 nights ago. I'm not just saying that. It was the weirdest thing ever, by the way. You're such a good guy. But the thing is, just throw it out there. It's kind of frustrating because all of the ingredients in the Death Riders is so good, but none of it works anymore. And those trio championships were supposed to mean something, and God, I hate it here. Listen, I'm gonna pick Moxley to win, just so Swerve could win. I'm gonna jinx myself.
There you go. Double jinx it.
Yeah.
Jaden, who you got in the main event?
Yeah, I'm throwing logic out the window here, man. I got Swerve for the win. For all intents and purposes, we're seeing them go down the road of having Swerve versus Hangman at All In for the AEW World Championship, which makes all the sense in the world to me, being that this has been there as an AEW's strongest and frontline feud in its short history, right? If Mox wins, what do you do? Well, Ospreay does not have a history with Moxley. If Ospreay wins the Owen, what then? Now, if Hanger wins the Owen, right? If Hanger wins the Owen and Mox stays champ, they still have to find a way to get that strap off of Mox and put it on Swerve, because that's the better main event for All In at the end of the day. So it's got to happen here. Mox, for all intents and purposes, brother, go take a fucking vacation. Come back
Finally, please.
Come back in a few months. Spend some time with the baby girl. and be a dad, bro. Because this ain't it right now. This ain't it. Everybody needs a revamp outside of Marina Shafir. I think Marina Shafir is the only one who's actually gotten anything out of this Death Rider storyline. Everybody else is kind of lost to it. As I mentioned, Pac earlier, and obviously Claudio just not being up to par, and Wheeler Yuta's just still out here flailing in the wind. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is there. So I think Swerve for the win here works best for the future of the company. They can probably, if they wanted to, they can go back down that Bobby Lashley route if they wanted to with Swerve and Bobby with Swerve as champion. They can revisit that. Obviously, till you get to him and Hanger, and yeah, man, that's where I'm at with it. Because I need this Death Rider storyline to end. I really, really do. And I get it. Big Man Dog said Tony feels like Mox is a draw and stuff like that.
But he's wrong. So
I mean, look,
he's wrong.
I feel like AEW is really more the sum of the parts than it is the guy on top, right? That's more the WWE mold of things or whatever. We got our top line draw. He's gonna put the butts in the seats. That's Roman Reigns, right? Nah, AEW is the collection of his parts. People go to AEW shows to watch specific wrestlers, not just the one. At the end of the day, the team, that roster dynamic brings people to these freaking arenas and things of that nature. So with all that being said, some of the old school ways of thinking of professional wrestling are, for me, speaking for myself, should be done by the wayside, because shit, everybody gets paid millions of dollars nowadays. If you're a draw or not, what the fuck does it matter? You're still making the same money because your freaking contract's guaranteed. So what the fuck does it matter? You know what I'm saying? So,
Talk.
You know, there's that for it. You know, we're not going to get Darby anytime soon, so that's not going to be a worry for the AEW fan base. Obviously, you have other members of the roster who are vying for the championship, right? It's Hanger, it's MJF, right? You still have if Jay White comes back soon enough from injury, there's still Jay White in the mix and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Will is there and whatnot. If you're going to put the rocket strap on the Jet, Kevin Knight might be up there if you want him to be there. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on the booking.
All right. We're going too far there. I will quickly give, because I have to wrap this up because I have an interview. Simple. Just put the title on Swerve. I went into Wednesday thinking that that Tony Khan was gonna be a selfish prick and keep the title on Moxley, but the way they set it up, it has to be Swerve. Swerve gets the victory. Post-match, the Death Riders and Moxley attack Swerve, and Hangman comes out and makes the save. But we don't get any handshake, nothing like that. He just walks away. He helps Swerve fight off the Death Riders, and that's how you close Dynasty. That's my prediction for Sunday. Please, Tony, put the title on Swerve. But we've made it to the end of our Dynasty preview.
Oh my God, an hour and a half.
I want to thank my esteemed colleagues here, Jay News and Maggie, for joining me today. Thank you, all of you in the chat. If you talk about what we're talking about, you will always have your comment highlighted on screen. If you are not talking about what we're talking about, yes, you will be skipped. Maggie, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah, that was so good, guys. Please follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you guys want to call it, at Maggie_IK, and on Instagram at Maggie.IK. I'm also on Blue Sky at Maggie-IK. Again, the weirdest thing in the world. Please subscribe to Fightful Select, the easiest $6 you're ever going to get in the business. Please subscribe to Fightful on YouTube, Fightful Overbooked, please. You can join me and Rob Wilkins each and every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Fightful Overbooked for coexisting with Rob and Maggie. A bunch of fuckery at hand every week in around 20 minutes. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you so much to SP3 for inviting me on these. I absolutely adore these. Jay, hi.
Jay News, let everybody know where they can follow you.
Y'all can follow me online on the Twitter machine, man. Post there, y'all know when what my schedule is and whatnot. So do and hear the preview today. We'll do the review on Monday. I'll be back for that, as SP3 has cordially re-invited me onto that. We'll also be doing reviews for the New Japan Sakura Genesis show coming up on Sunday. So check us out. Check me out there as well with SP3, and hopefully someone can join us. And then every Sunday, I also have my podcast with the lovely Dolores on the Hit the Ropes podcast. Catch us on our respective YouTube channels, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. So yeah, there's that. So yeah.
There you go. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Like J News said, we'll be back with our review of Sakura Genesis on Sunday. I will be live tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the True Hill Heat Flagship podcast. So join us for that right here. And in the meantime, between time, check out all the great content we got on the channel, like AE Ramble. Check out our NJPW Sakura Genesis preview. We'll have a Dynasty watch party on Sunday, so join us for that as well. But for Maggie, for J News, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been our AEW Dynasty 2025 preview. We are signing off until next time.